Thanks for joining me today. I wonder if there could be a parable inside this box. It's the color gold. There must be something important inside. Parables are very important. So maybe there's a parable inside this box. Parables are very old, and this box is very old. Perhaps there's an old parable inside. Did you know that parables were given to you before you were even born? This box looks kind of like a present. Parables are presents. Maybe there is a parable inside this box. Look at the lid. Sometimes parables have a lid on them, like a door that is shut. The lid keeps you from going inside the parable. I don't know why. This sometimes happens even if you are ready. Don't be discouraged. Keep coming back. Well, if this is a parable, let's see if there's something to help us get ready inside. I wonder what this could be. I can't tell. It's kind of brown though. A sort of yellow and brown, maybe tan? How strange. I wonder what it could really be. Let's see if there's anything else in the box to help us get ready for the parable. I have some bad news. There is nothing else. All we can do is begin. There was once someone who said such amazing things and did such wonderful things that people followed him. And as they followed him, they heard him talking about a kingdom. But it was not like any kingdom they lived in. It was not like any kingdom that they'd visited. It was not like any kingdom they'd ever heard of. They couldn't help it. They had to ask him what the kingdom of heaven was like. And one time when he was asked this, he said, "The kingdom of heaven is like leaven that a woman took and mixed it with 3 measures of flour," which is a lot. And she hid the leaven in the mixture, which was swelled up and got leavened all over. It got big and puffy, like the bread you buy in the store. Now, I wonder if the woman has a name. I wonder who she could really be. I wonder if the woman was happy. I wonder what the bread could really be. I wonder what the leaven is really in the parable and in life. I wonder if you could take the bread that was leavened all over and put it back like it was before the woman hid the leaven in it. I wonder if you've ever come close to a place where this happens. I mean, really, not just in the parable or making bread. So we have an election just around the corner, and I thought for today that I would read Maybelle, the Cable Car by Virginia Lee Burton. Way out in the far, far west, there's a city of many hills. A city with water on three sides around. A bay city, a seaport, a gay city, a friendly city. A city of flowers and cable cars too. The city of San Francisco. And to the people of this city who love their cable cars, and especially to Mrs. Hans Klussmann, leading light in the fight to save them from extinction, I dedicate this book. Maybelle was a cable car, a San Francisco cable car. Cling clang, clingety clang, up and down and around she went. Maybelle had a bell on top. Ring two to go and one to stop. Underneath she had a grip to grab the cable under the street. And she had three different kinds of brakes. One's for wheels, one for the track, and an emergency brake to jam in the slot so she could stop whenever she ought. Now Maybelle had a gripman and a conductor, and the gripman pulled the levers and pushed the pedal and rang the bell for Maybelle to stop or go. And the conductor collected the fares and called it the streets and helped with the rear wheel brakes when the hills were very steep. Fares, please. Ding, ding. Let's go. Not too fast and not too slow. Stop at the crossing, wait for the light, then ride the cable right to the top. Stop. Look down at the view. Francisco, Chestnut, Lombard, Greenwich, Filbert, Union, Green, Vallejo, Broadway, Mason. Down again to the end of the line. Turn around and do it again. Fares, please. Ting, ting. Let's go. Sacramento, Clay, Washington, Jackson. No hill too steep. No load too heavy. Always cheerful and most polite. She rang her gong and sang her song from early morn till late at night. From late at night to early morn, Maybelle rested with her sisters in the big green barn. Born in San Francisco long ago, they'd watched their city change and grow. The new come in, the old go out, while they remained the same. At night while the city slept, they exchanged the news of the day or played the game Remember When? Until it was time to go out again. Remember when the city was small, when everyone knew everyone else and nobody hurried and nobody worried? Those were the good old times. Remember when mansions crowned the hills, when our family was large and rich and famous and pride of the city and joy of the people? Those were the gay old times. Remember the Sunday afternoon rides out to the public parks and beaches and the all-day outings on holidays? Those were the merry old times. And they seldom remembered the terrible fire which destroyed the city overnight. Instead, they remember how quickly the city was rebuilt and grew some more. And they remembered when many of the cable lines were changed into electric lines. And they remembered the first horseless carriage and how people laughed and yelled, "Get a horse!" Now the streets were crowded with traffic and everyone hurried and seemed to be worried, and electric trolleys and gasoline buses had replaced almost all of the old family lines. Maybelle and her sisters worked for the city. The city had been so busy growing that she'd neglected her little cable cars and they needed a new coat of paint. Maybelle was always first out in the morning and last to come in at night. She loved her city, she loved her work, and most of all, she loved the people. Maybelle's hill was very steep and very slippery when wet. Even taxi cabs stayed off this hill in damp and foggy weather, but no hill was too steep for Maybelle. No matter the weather, wet or dry, she could not slip. She had her grip and 3 kinds of brakes besides. And when visitors came from the rest of the world to see the sights of the city, they admired the beautiful views, the 2 big bridges, the beautiful buildings, and the parks and zoos. But what they liked most of all was to ride on a little cable car. They paid no attention to the trolleys and the buses because they had plenty of those at home. This made Big Bill just a bit jealous. After all, he boasted, I'm bigger and stronger and newer and faster and more economical. And he ran his route past City Hall and he knew all the city fathers. And one day, as Maybelle was going along, taking her time and singing her song, Big Bill honked his horn and hooted, out of my way, out of my way. You are a little old cable car. I just heard the city fathers say that cable cars must go. You're too old and out of date and much too slow and can't be safe. But worst of all, you don't make money. What they want is speed and progress and economy. That means us. Ho, 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 poor little cable car. Too bad you're not a bus. And he ground his gears and shoved his way into traffic, leaving a trail of gasoline fumes. And Maybelle, sad and unhappy. Oh me, oh my, oh dearie me, if this is true, what shall we do? Anyway, I'd rather be me, a little old cable car, than a great big old clumsy old stuffy old and yes, smelly old bus, she said as she choked on the gasoline fumes. Of course, she didn't say this out loud because she was much too polite. And the next day, now, the rest of the day seemed long and dreary. Maybelle's heart was sad and weary, the hills too high, the load too heavy. Her bell rang wrong. Dong ding. Ding dong. And soon the news leaked from the city hall. That's what the city fathers planned to do. And some people said, too bad. Hate to see them go. Progress, I suppose. Others sighed and said, we'll miss them. What a pity for our city to lose her cable cars. We'll be like any city, one person said. Why do we have to? We the people are the city. Why can't we decide? And so they called a public meeting in the public library of all the friends of the cable cars and called themselves the Citizens Committee to Save the Cable Cars. And letters and telegrams poured in from all over the world begging the city fathers to keep the cable cars. And the Citizens Committee stormed city halls demanding the chance for the people to vote to answer the question yes or no. Shall the city keep her cable cars? Pooh-pooh, said the city fathers, just sentimental talk. Besides, you need to have a petition and put the question on the ballot. No sooner said than done. The people signed a petition and presented it to City Hall. And so the fate of Maybelle and her sisters was put on the ballot as question 1. The Citizens Committee got busy with posters and parades and publicity. Vote yes on question 1. Save the cable cars. And every day there were speeches and people started taking sides. Some said yes and some said no. And nobody said perhaps or maybe. The no people had facts and figures, and the yes people answered with more. The no people made more noise, and the yes people worked harder. Big Bill, the bus, was sure he'd win. So late at night, while the city slept, he crept about to practice climbing Maybelle's hill, up and down, stop and start. Nothing to it, boasted Bill. What's all this fuss about the hill? And then came one damp and foggy night when Big Bill tried to stop halfway down. He slipped, he slid, he turned around. Phew, that was close, groaned Bill. I don't think I like this hill. At last election day arrived when the people would decide by vote whether the cable cars would stay or go. And the polls opened at 7 in the morning and closed at 8 at night. No more speeches, no more talking, just one vote for each and every one. And no one could tell what the answer would be until the polls were closed and the votes were counted. And the people stood around quietly and waited for the votes to be counted. Maybelle waited, Big Bill waited, and the whole city waited to see what the answer would be. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight. Hooray, shouted people. The answer is yes, the cable cars have won. 3-1. Hooray for the cable cars. Long may they live. And they gathered round Maybelle and covered her with flowers. And they turned her around and all climbed on. No fares, please. Ting, ting. Let's go. This ride's on me and free for all. It reminded Maybelle of the good old days when everyone knew everyone else and life was gay and friendly. And on her way back, Maybelle met Big Bill. Congratulations, he honked. I'm glad you won. Your hill's too steep for me and much too slippery when wet. Thank you, rang Maybelle, and let's be friends. Okay, said Bill. And by the way, I've just heard the new city fathers say that you and your sisters each would have a new coat of paint. And also, they've named one day each year to celebrate as Cable Car Day. Thank you again. Ding, ding, and good night. You're welcome. Beep, beep. Be seeing ya. And home went Maybelle, clingety-clang, ringing her gong and singing her song. Good news, ting, ting. Good news, she sang. Our day's not done. It's just begun. And today, let's close with a psalm. This one's Psalm 121. I lift up my eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve your soul. The Lord shall preserve your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. Amen. I hope you enjoyed yourself this week. I appreciate you being here. Look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.